Assalamu alaikum, you're watching Views and News and I'm Faisal Rehman live from our Islamabad studios. Today, the topic, or rather the issue, is pretty interesting and I think is very close to the hearts of all of us. It's not going to be a political talk show, neither is going to be a talk show on international affairs. But this is something which is very important, very close, and we are a part of it in a big deal. Now, when we talk about policing, or for that matter, when we talk about the service in this particular sector, what we have learned normally is that when we compare it with the Western societies, when we talk about the law and order, when we talk about how to control people, how to bring in that kind of stability where people should feel safe, and that kind of phenomenon, or the perception, unfortunately, which was eroded over a period of time because of certain very important acts or behaviors by certain individuals, but that doesn't mean that the entire institution should be blamed for it, number one. Secondly, there was a recent survey about police in Pakistan, and if you're talking about the Islamabad police, the good news is that the World Crime Index has rated Pakistan's capital, Islamabad, as the one of the, rather, let it put it this way, like among the top 250 countries, and exact number is 244th in terms of crime index. That is something pretty significant, I think. Pakistan being a third world country and a country which has gone through this war on terror, and primarily we have suffered so much. Forget about the economic side. Let's talk about the lives lost. More than 70,000. Hundreds of thousands of people were practically injured in these blasts. There was this entire wave of terrorism which not only prevailed in the society, it actually penetrated in the minds also. That was again something very important, but I would say the gallant officers, these brave officers of Pakistan Police, and in general, all those who were involved in the law enforcement agencies, I think they have done a brilliant job. They have proved their worth, they have made sure that Pakistan is a safe city, and look at the current crime rate. Having said that, it doesn't mean that since we have looked after the issues regarding terrorism for that matter, or certain other important areas, but again, that concept to serve and to protect, how far are we from that? How are we going to change the perception of police? There are amazing great stories which are untold, unfortunately. We'll be telling you about those. There are so many other weaknesses. Let's highlight those and let's come up with some sort of remedies. Let's have some solutions for that. That is another very important aspect of this program. We'll do SWOT analysis. We'll talk about the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities and the threats prevailing, because this is not an easy job. A man in uniform is always under threat in today's prevailing conditions from unknown, I would say, assailants, because you never know what can happen. But this city, since it has been ranked in Pakistan as the safest city, we're talking about the capital Islamabad. So what exactly the administration has done, the police officers they have done to bring it to that level, and how do we need to go further? Let's have the similar example in Punjab, maybe after 5 years, maybe another 7 years from now, something similar is going to be happening in Balochistan, or in Sindh, or for that matter, in Fatah. So there are a lot of areas, but obviously when we talk about the comparison, I don't think that should be very legitimate to compare the Pakistani police with the Western police, for that matter. In so many areas they are, but they do lack in certain areas. How to improve, how to go about it. So today we have with us Muhammad Amir Zulfikar Khan Saab. Khan Saab is the IGP Islamabad. Thank you very much, sir, for taking out your time and being here in our show, sir.
Thank you very much.
First of all, sir, congratulations on making Islamabad as one of the, rather, not one of the, actually the safest city in Pakistan. Now, first of all, sir, a lot of people would say that Punjab is a much bigger province, whereas Balochistan, look at the size, but Islamabad is a small city with certain areas within the suburbs, and you have an IGP and you have a whole system. So this was very much possible. But I'm sure, sir, looking at the suburbs, looking at what has happened earlier, things have significantly improved. First of all, your take, sir, and then I've got a dozen more questions.
I think it's very nice of you to express your shabash to Islamabad police for a job well done. I was posted last year, and an entire team of officers came with me. And when we sat down and did that SWOT analysis which you were referring to, we realized that Islamabad may appear to be a small city on the surface, but it has its own peculiarities which no other province has. For example, out of, if we have 100 police officers, 45% of the police is deployed on security duty. And now that security duty entails the responsibility of providing security to the visiting head of states, to the all top offices of Pakistan. The Supreme Court is here, and other very, very important stakeholders are located in Islamabad. Besides that, to run a city which is especially the capital, it has its own flavor of policing, and policing which is possible in other parts of Pakistan is frankly not possible in Islamabad. So we have to cater to the educated class. We have to make sure that the police response to crime, to law and order, to other challenges is such where we do not decrease the image of the police, but rather through our good behavior, our professional handling of matters, we try to improve the image. The biggest, I think, the challenge which was the responsibility which was given by the Prime Minister when he appointed me as the IG, there were two things. One, he wanted Islamabad as a drug-free city, and secondly, there was a lot of complaints about land grabbing. So we set up to the task, and I'm very happy to report that by the grace of Allah and basically the teamwork from the constable to my DIGs, everyone played a great role in it. And today, if you remember, we were together earlier this year at a function in one of the major schools of Islamabad, and there also we talked about the drugs. And that campaign is ongoing, and I'm confident that in this again we are restarting it with a new vigor. Inshallah ta'ala, especially this phenomenon of ice and ecstasy and drugs like cocaine, we have already nearly eliminated them, but we are further going to go more harder, and inshallah we'll make sure that the Islamabad is as drug free as possible. Similar is the land mafia. When we came here, it was a rampant complaint. I would say that every day if 100 people were meeting me, at least 40-50% were complaining about the land mafia. But now there has not been a single complaint in the last few months. Obviously there are civil matters. I have a plot and you have a stake on that, but no incident has taken place where people come in with Kalashnikovs and dispossess you and take possession of a piece of land. So I think they are two success stories, and rest we'll discuss as the program.
Now, sir, since you have mentioned about two areas, definitely we'll be talking about the drugs separately, and we'll be talking about land grabbing separately, because these are the major problems people are suffering here. But sir, before that, you also mentioned about that certain things which were not possible in other provinces. I'm sure you have served in so many other provinces. You're, mashallah, holding one of the highest ranks in this particular institution. The difference, sir, is it only about that the people are educated or not educated? Because when you look at these suburbs, and especially when you look at the culture of Potohar, a lot of people are pretty aggressive also. And this is also a fact that on very petty minor issues, people would take out the guns and would kill each other. We are hearing that this has not stopped, but this has really minimized to a certain level. Now, sir, let's talk about one thing. The difference you have felt in serving here in this capacity in Islamabad, and the hurdles or the problems or the issues which you used to face when you were in other provinces for that matter, are they of similar kind, or you have seen some major difference?
I think the major difference is that Islamabad police is under the microscope, and not only the media, but you know the major stakeholders are located in Islamabad. So it keeps us on our toes, and things which would be overlooked in other parts of Pakistan, a very small matter would come out in the media, and then you know an entire campaign would start. I'll give you a recent example. Today we have announced the arrest of a very serious incident in which a serving major of the Pakistan Army
G10 sector,
yes,
I remember,
yes.
sir.
And we have arrested those people who did that murder. Similarly, there was a spate of robberies about 3 months back. But the social media campaign which was launched against the police, it appeared that every day I think there were like 10 robberies. This was what the perception was created. And when we would do our research, there were total 6 or 7 robberies when we were busy in this Muharram duties. We have arrested those also. We have announced them today. Around 16 dacoits we have arrested. Most of them outside of Islamabad. That is the challenge, because Islamabad itself is surrounded by Punjab and KP, and the staple criminal comes basically from other parts of Pakistan, does the dacoity or the robbery here, and then goes away. It's not like Lahore. I've been SSP Lahore also, or in Multan where I was the DIG, or in other parts where I've served. The criminal would be generally from the same district or some adjoining district which was very close. So it was much easier to apprehend them. But people, the criminal profile of Islamabad, we have picked up people even from Karachi and from other parts of
You would commit a
Pakistan.
crime here and they would vanish.
They would vanish, and then once they would come back, then obviously we were after them, and then we would arrest them. So it makes the challenge more difficult. Secondly, with the VVIP movement going on every day, no other province has that. Because if the royal couple were coming here, so you can well imagine the responsibility on the Islamabad police. And by the grace of God, I think my officers and men work day in, day out to make that visit absolutely trouble-free. And the number of foreign dignitaries who have been coming to Islamabad, I think we have had around 10 to 15 visits this year. Mashallah, by the grace of Allah, not even a single incident has happened where the police has not responded or has mishandled, or God forbid some security problem has arisen. So I think all said and done, these are the two peculiarities which, because I've served in Punjab, I've served in Sindh, I've served in KP. So I have a fair idea of the policing challenges there and the policing challenge in Islamabad.
All right, now so talking about this drugs issue, because that is very close, my own kids are almost teenagers. And this issue, sir, which we used to hear that there's somebody who's addicted or somebody who does drugs for that matter. They used to be from a different class, but now, sir, we have seen people from good family, kids from very influential families, I would say, are getting into chemical drugs. You talk about cocaine, that has become a part of norm and fashion of the parties these days, sir. You talk about ecstasies, available, whether good, bad or ugly. You talk about this new crystal meth or ice as they call it. Young kids as young as 14 years old are popping it in, sir. Number one, sir, don't you think that this particular attempt of yours in order to make sure that schools should be drug-free, I mean, it's everywhere, all over the world, sir. What is your success rate, sir? And I mean, I also want you to give a message to the kids, because if it is a matter of community or police for that matter, sir, everybody is supposed to, the social, I would say the diaspora is going to be with you in that point. Message for the parents, for the kids in this regard, sir, and your crackdown on this.
Faisal Sahab, you have to remember one thing, that none of the drugs which you have mentioned are grown or manufactured in Islamabad. So they are coming across the country. And when we launched this campaign, I'm grateful to ANF that they were with us and the intelligence agencies. And we have been doing regular crackdowns against the known drugs, peddlers and where the drugs are sold. But you have to understand this is an international problem also. It's not only Islamabad. And I don't know whether I should say this or not, but some of the other...
according to certain reports published in the newspapers and magazines, and even in social media, but social media, okay, let's put it differently, they would say that 80% of the schools, I still remember when Afridi Saab was the interior minister, he said that more than about 70-75% of the schools, I mean, are there in Islamabad where this problem does exist?
I would just submit that sometimes figures which are quoted are absolutely wrong. And we should not get into this self-criticism. I don't know, that has also seeped into our nation, that we are always very self-critical of ourselves. I think it's a success story in the way that if you compare it with the West or with other countries like Pakistan, the drug usage in Pakistan and in Islamabad, I would say, the drug addiction would not be more than 1 or 2%. And that, I think, also is a very high figure. What the problem I have experienced is, and on which I would like to request the parents, that the parenting model has changed. If you remember our childhood, our parents, they were fully involved with us right from school till the time we slept, if you remember that.
Absolutely, sir.
Now the...
Plus the exposure wasn't there, the
yes.
internet wasn't there. So
now the virtual world has frankly taken us over.
Correct.
And the virtual world is a place where the kids, you don't know what your child is doing on the Facebook or interacting on the WhatsApp or on other social media sites. So I think there has been a problem which I have been highlighting through and through. I would also like to share that recently I have started once a week program with FM 101,
okay,
the Radio Pakistan.
Brilliant.
And last time, yesterday, which we did, was on drugs. And the message I wanted to give to the parents was that please, for God's sakes, you know, I'm not saying that you start, strangling your children. No, absolutely not. But at least know what they're doing.
Put a check
at least
on them
check
in a way.
their mobiles. At least check where they're going, who are their friends, what the parents or friends do, what is the situation in their home.
Put a check on their
And
pocket
if-
money also.
Yes, but you in Islamabad, I was horrified to know that I've come across people who give 8 or 9 class student pocket money of 100,000 rupees. Now, what is a ninth who's like 14, 15 years old? What is he going to do with 100,000 rupees? Except to go into such negative areas. So, what I would say that if the parenting is done, the state is very serious. And I said that the Prime Minister very closely monitors this entire exercise, and ANF and the police and other law enforcement agencies, we are doing a crackdown continuously. And I am again going to start this visit to the schools and to the universities, at least to sensitize the parents and the students. Because if you go into this drug trap, I think your future is extremely dark.
Absolutely. So when you talk about, for example, there is a certain report that XYZ person in certain area does this business, it is next to impossible that the SHO wouldn't know about it, because mostly there's a difference. I don't want to say that, but the approach of an officer who's a ranker, who started off from that level, ended up becoming an SP, versus an officer who started off from an ASP and is an SP at the moment, approach, the model of their, I would say, management of the system is very different. A lot of people believe that the rankers or the officers, they are normally, they know exactly, they know where the drugs are coming in from, they know what sort of people live here, they know exactly in and out. I mean, they have done the x-rays basically, or let's put it this way, they have done the MRI now. But sir, don't you think it's also very important that instead of, I mean, IOBs, intelligence-based operations, I mean, IBOs are very important, but at the same time, these random checks, random pickups, random sampling.
I would beg to differ with you. Look, the people you've called rankers, they are the police. The police service is just 700 officers, and you have a total force of around 500,000 police officers across Pakistan. And the biggest shahadat has come from the ranks. We should never forget it. And those people, the constables, the DSPs, the inspectors, the sub-inspectors, the ASIs, they have all laid down their lives. So the shuhada of police in Pakistan, I think it speaks volumes about the commitment and about the professionalism of police across Pakistan. The thing which you are saying that if the SHO would know, I would beg to differ with that also, because when we started our service around 30 years back, even then it was not possible for an SHO who was serving in Karachi to know, because urban crime and urban paradigm is totally opposite to the rural paradigm.
All right.
So if there is a SHO who is posted in one of the rural areas, he may have an idea of the known badmash, who we call Basta badmash. But the SHOs posted in Karachi company in Islamabad, he is so much occupied in daily policing of that area, the law and order situations, the security duties, that I would safely say that, and I'm not saying it 100%, obviously there would be some knowledge, and there would be, because these police officers are here from constable to the rank of SP, and they have spent their lives. But I would still say that the crackdown which we did, we were very happy with the results, and in nowhere did we find any police, except for I think 2 or 3 cases which we dismissed from service and arrested them also, because we have this zero tolerance policy very clear, that if the police itself will not respect the law, then the IG will definitely take very drastic action, because as a public servant, public is the boss. So if I expect you to obey the law, how can I disobey the law? I've never understood this, that if you are stopping at the red light, how can the IG pass the red light? It's impossible. So, but there's a police subculture also.
Okay.
And we want to, it's a continuous effort to improve it. And mashallah, we're doing it.
Yeah, you're right. This is a part of culture also, unfortunately. Now, sir, I remember once I interviewed Shoaib Sadal Saab, and we did speak at length about the police reforms. And now the concept of that 1880s of the native police with big mustache and, that face which would, you'll get fared because of that. That concept to control the natives and all, sir, that mindset unfortunately still exists to a certain level. Let's not say they are controlling the natives now, but in general, the masses, the population. And my point, which earlier I had, was like, and at that time he mentioned that, now we are going to place an ASP, a young officer, in every single police station. So he'll be looking over various, aspects. Now over there, sir, do you think if that was the case, things have improved because of that? Or do you believe that the SHO, like in military, sir, the SM or the Subedar Major, when he interacts with a young second lieutenant, obviously his experience is more than the age of that young officer. So there are different things. Experience has its own, weightage, I would say.
This police reforms issue, one, though I would like to say that only the police can reform itself. Because the IG would know, he has spent 28, 30 years in this service, and he would know the pluses and minuses of the department.
Correct.
Well, for example, if you tell me to reform the PTV, I have never served a day, so how can I reform the PTV? Only you can do it, you know the pluses, you know the weak areas, you know the strengths of the organization. So police reforms have to come from the police being a partner in that. I'm not saying that only the police should do it, because obviously we have to have external oversight, and that's acceptable. But police reforms, you again have to go back to 1829 when Sir Robert Peel created the London Metropolitan Act, and then what happened in 1855 when we had this torture commission constituted because the policing in subcontinent was not up to the mark as perceived by the British. And then 1857 happened. And then in 1861, the reflection of being a colonial tool of the British, that gained,
All India Act.
All India Act. And it's very interesting that in Calcutta, Madras and Bombay, they had a separate policing arrangement. But in rest of India, they had this 1861 Police Act. And unfortunately, we took till 2002 to have a police order. Although there were around 15 commissions, or maybe more, made by different governments on reforming the police.
And how effective were they, sir?
They were never implemented. So it was the first time in 2002 when police order was implemented. And again, it has been changed over time with new stipulations coming in. And I think the police reforms should definitely take place. But we, in my opinion, we should have, I don't know the constitutional arrangement, but if we have a similar police law across Pakistan, we have similar policing systems, similar SOPs, similar negatives and positives, so that will, further improve the output of police. Because you have to understand that policing is never an easy job.
It can't be.
When the Inspector General is like working 18 hours, so the SHO is working 24 hours. Even in the Police Act, it is written that the SHO has to be on duty for 24 hours. How is it humanly possible? If you do not have a shift system, but then that would need a lot of
more manpower.
More manpower.
More resources,
then, yes. So it's a tricky situation. But I think the government is very serious on this. And I hope in the near future, we will definitely see a major effort to reform the police. And police is also ready for any input which comes to, well, why wouldn't I like to be respected? Why would I like the constable standing on the road, being loved by the people and being respected? That is the aim where the police reform.
Perception management. So we'll come to that side also. But we've also learned that now Islamabad police is doing so many things. I mean, when I look at their uniform, and when I look at the kind of fitness they have, I mean, this is something very encouraging. Rather than, I'll be very honest, as compared to looking to other officers, their sandals are open, they haven't shaved, their belts are open, their buttons are open, and they won't even get up. So a uniform should be respected. That's something very important, because that's a pride you wear. Now, sir, we've also learned that there is this new concept of rights police, which you erected recently, and they're very fit, very agile, very up to the mark. Tell us about that, sir. Now, Islamabad has become a dharna city, unfortunately.
Two things. One, we started a campaign, Pehle Salam, Phir Kalam.
Okay.
That was first salute, and then ask the question. Now, the purpose
Is this for the civilians, for the
yes,
public?
the police officer has to salute you, because you are the boss. My salary, my perks and privileges are because of the taxes you pay. So you are the boss, the public is the boss. That's one message I've been inculcating in the minds of the police officers, and I am happy that most of them have responded. So if you are stopped at a police checkpoint, they will salute you, and then if you have done something wrong, then they will challan you or whatever they have to do. So that was the first thing which we did, and I think the image which you are referring to, it's a result of last 13 months effort, day in and day out, to inculcate in the police to respect the public from their heart. Because respect cannot be, just...
You can't demand it, you have to earn it.
You have to earn it, one. Secondly, I think coming back to your question, the Riot Police, we tested it out in our dharna, which happened about a month back. And we trained, the core group is around 1,200 officers, but we trained around 7,000 officers.
7,000.
And
this is the strength only in Islamabad, sir?
Yes, starting from the DIG to the constable. My ASPs did it, everybody did a live, because the purpose was, one, to understand that our role is to uphold the law of the land, irrespective of any considerations. So we have to uphold the law of the land. And to uphold that, we will not use firearms at all. That was a written direction issued to every constable.
No matter what sort of circumstances you're going through?
Because the people who are protesting are also Pakistanis. So we will, God forbid if they cross a red line, obviously, then the police is empowered under the law. But below that red line, we would never resort to live
So you will not shoot unless you're shot upon?
Yes. So that was the basic message which was given. And I think that also entailed in this dharna that if you remember, entire Islamabad was open.
Yeah.
Schools were open. People were going to the offices and people were surprised. And I came on the media a lot of times to just tell the people that everything is under control, alhamdulillah. We have our red lines drawn. The deployment is complete and with the force was sufficient. So if God forbid something had happened, we would have handled it as professionally as possible. So all said and done, because of the training on site, because of the excellent integration between different segments of law enforcement, the rangers were there with us throughout, similarly other stakeholders. So with the support of everyone, I think we were able to create a historic occasion that not even one flower was hurt during this last dharna in Islamabad.
Right. Now, sir, two important points. One is about the overall number of, or rather the personnel you have, or your workforce, let's put it this way. You said around 45% of the people are actually engaged in VIP security issues, sir. Especially when you look at here, sir, it is a mandatory issue, obviously. But then there comes another issue that says that lack of resources. Whether you talk about the fuel present in their cars or the vans, whatever they use, plus on top, the duration of the work hours, sir, because a human body can deliver to a certain level, certain limit. I mean, okay, if there is a war, there's a different ballgame, a different story altogether. But that delivery, I mean, obviously that goes down over a period of time if you're working at a stretch for like more than 24 hours or something. And secondly, sir, about the compensations, because we heard that there was a lot of difference between the compensation if somebody, God forbid, is martyred in Islamabad, a police officer or a police jawan, as compared to somebody in Punjab, they would get 5 times more money. So why was that difference, and have you done something about that?
I'm extremely grateful to the Prime Minister that he was kind to sanction 1,200 and around 50 seats, fresh recruits for Islamabad. And mind you, this was the gap between the posted and the sanctioned strength.
Okay.
And the sanctioned strength of Islamabad dates back to 2004. We have completed the recruitment. It was done purely on merit, absolutely transparent. Their training has started, and by April, inshallah, they'll be coming back to report for duty as full-fledged trained police officers. So once this 1250 fresh intake comes in, we will be looking at further strengthening our operations and security division and traffic and wherever are the weak areas. Once they come in also, we will try our best to have at least 8-hour shift if possible, because you have to understand that at times, especially with this high profile visits, at times we have to deploy extra manpower, because we want that any guest who comes to Pakistan, for example, the Sri Lankan team is coming.
Yes.
We have planned to the minutest detail possible that where our police will be, what are we going to do in case of an emergency, and we welcome them also with the open heart, and inshallah they will be very, very comfortable in Islamabad, extremely safe, absolutely no safety issues. But it definitely, the resources are always limited for any police force in the world. If you talk to New York Police Department, they'll also say we are resource hungry.
But the benchmark they have set, I mean, that's pretty high within the given resources.
I agree, but again, you have to understand that the government is doing its best to support the police as much as possible.
Because sir, off the record, when you talk to these police officers, the ASIs, SIs, or the SHOs, even senior officers, they have a system that, this is the amount of money which is granted to our police station, but this can't be even, it is not even enough for a week. So how do they generate? We all know. I mean, they have a system to generate, maybe for the service of the people. But this is one thing I think where we really need to put in a lot of effort. A certain proper amount is granted. Proper weapons should be there, proper kits should be there, proper training should be there, because sir, you have also been the commandant of Sehala, if I'm not wrong.
Yes.
Now that's a police training school. Is the training up to the level of 2019-18? Because sir, now the threats are different, issues are different, and because of this internet and the modern technologies and these applications, they are teaching left, right and center how to perform an act of crime in a much appropriate manner,
I would like to say three things here. Once you had referred to the ASPs and Dr. Sadal's discussion, I am happy to report that it was under the orders of the Prime Minister that we have launched this sample in Islamabad. 4 police stations we have posted ASPs, and the impact has been so great that we have just done a review 2 days back. Not only the crime has gone down, the complaints of corruption or mishandling of a situation or high-handedness have gone down drastically. So ASPs definitely have had an impact in Islamabad, and I'm very happy that we have around 10 ASPs who are outstanding in their own rights. We have a lady police officer who is an ASP, and then we have 9 gentlemen officers. All of them are working very hard, and I think the success which we have gained by the grace of Almighty also is, they also have played a great role in this. Second part which you said about this, the difference of martyred amount, the Prime Minister again has approved it in June this year, that the Punjab model, God forbid if some police officer is martyred in Islamabad after June or from now onwards, he or she will get the same compensation
which the Punjab police gets.
Okay,
now that
because
is a great
I
issue.
raised this, that if the IGP road on one side is Pindi and one side is Islamabad, and a Pindi police officer gets martyred, he gets around 2 crore rupees. But if the police constable gets martyred in Islamabad, he gets 20 lakh rupees. So this would obviously generate a lot of heartburning, that once you have given your life also, and then the amount which you are being paid by the state in recognition of the ultimate sacrifice, it's 1/10 of Punjab. So if that is done, we are further working to improve, to inculcate more welfare measures for the police, and I think with the government support, inshallah, we'll further take it upwards.
Because now we see, when we go to Lahore, we see these smart bikes and smart officers on that, and that gives a very good impression, and they're very agile, very fit also, and performing their duty up to the mark. Do you have a certain plan that, since you're looking at Islamabad as a model city, so that whenever somebody writes about the law and order situation, since people have started writing very positive stuff about it, and alhamdulillah about Pakistan in general also, that one day Islamabad police is going to be looked upon as an ideal, as the perfect most police.
Faisal, it already is.
No, I'm saying, but sir, at the same time, a comparison, because when we look at the comparison, we are more used to this police in Islamabad. The moment we enter Lahore, it's a different ball game we need to go through. Then you can compare, and then you give duas to your own police, in Islamabad.
Yeah, I think I've had the honor of commanding Lahore police, and it's, I think, one of the best police forces in the world. With their resource constraint, what the Lahore police does is wonders. I've commanded them for over 2 years, so it was a pleasure and an honor to serve in Lahore. But again, you have to understand the difference of society. The policing model in Lahore will not work here, and the policing model in Islamabad will not work in Lahore, because the crime paradigm is different, the societal structure is different, the challenges of policing are totally different. But all said and done, I think the SOPs which are implemented here, they also tried their best. The Punjab police and all the police forces, today we had this NPMB meeting in National Police Bureau, and I am very happy to report that all IGs, because you have to understand that every police officer is a police officer. It's not a profession, it's our life. It's not like a profession like you can leave this job and go somewhere else. I can't. It's in me. So all police officers, from the constable to the inspector general, everyone works his heart out to improve the image of the police. And I think Islamabad police is not, I think it's an ideal, because if you remember, the United Nations Secretary General has declared Islamabad again as a family station after about 12 years.
Yeah, now the
2000
families of the
yes,
ambassadors and
2008
high
it was
commissioners become
created
families.
as it was
No, that's a great
announced
achievement,
as
sir.
a non-family station. But Alhamdulillah, I'm extremely grateful to Allah Pak that now it is again a family station, and it is the UN which has done it. It's not one country.
Exactly.
And with that positive, I would say, coming in from the United Nations, the number of visitors who are coming from foreign countries has increased drastically. If you see and you go around in Islamabad, you'll see a lot of foreigners, and we welcome them to Islamabad, we welcome them to Pakistan. Alhamdulillah, they are totally safe here, and the police and all segments of
It's not
government.
only who the diplomats, even people who are working here,
Yes.
who are foreigners. I mean, they're
Yes.
very happy
Yes.
driving around. You see
Yes.
so many faces. That's just
So
fine.
that's a great advantage. You know, as Pakistanis, we should be very proud of it, and the government should be very proud of it, that this is what we have done. And in 2008, if you remember, it was as if the terrorists were just going to cross the Margla Hills.
Somebody
and
gave a statement also, if you
yes,
remember.
and today,
Right there across
yes,
the...
and today the people are going across Islamabad without any fear. So I think, but again, crime will be there. No? It's Islamabad is part of the world.
No society can be a crime-free
It
society.
can, but at least with our effort and with the effort of all the major stakeholders, here I think we should be very grateful to the Shoda. As you remember, as you mentioned, 70,000. The army has laid down in thousands of Shoda. The police has done it, the Air Force, the Navy, you name it. Every law, the ISI, law enforcement agencies across Pakistan have laid down
Men
their
in
lives.
uniform, sir, they have always been
and
the
most
strength.
importantly, the citizens of Pakistan. Which country has suffered so much? And still our marriages are going on. Still we are leading a normal life. So I think as a country and as a state, we are, I think, one of the strongest in the world.
I think you've done a brilliant job. Now, sir, another two important areas, sir, and most likely this is going to be the last question. This is about the technology factor, sir. So whenever we put on a Hollywood movie, or we talk about Silicon Valley, things have changed and things have changed drastically. Now you have cameras, they can identify your face, and within no time limit, the person can be judged. I mean, we often get so many footages that so-and-so bank was robbed and these were the people, and then we hear that, yes, they got caught after 7, 8, 9 days. But if there was this technology element, so they could have been recognized there and then and through NADRA, and there has to be some sort of an operation within the institution, some engagement, some synergy, let's put it this way. Now, sir, technology, I think that holds the key now, because now it's a different ball game altogether.
I
sir.
totally agree with you, but I would also submit that being 85th safest city on the planet, out of around 330 cities, we are better than so many cities which are in the first world. Because if only technology was the solution, then we should have been in the lower, but we are in the top. With technology, I think we also have to have a very highly trained police force. A police force which is,
Forensics for that matter, sir.
exactly. It has to be a complete bouquet. It cannot be that
Do you think
have,
that the regular existing people should be trained, or you can always have another department?
No,
Like
I
for
would say-
cybercrime for that
I
matter,
would
and
say
so on and so
that
forth.
we have to have specialized units within the police. As I said, that the police, a person who becomes a constable and then goes up to the rank of DSP or SP, he is also to be respected. He should also be saluted. He has spent his entire life in your service. Sir, when you are sitting in your car and my traffic constable stops you and you lower down your window, he is standing at 52 degrees Celsius.
You're right. I totally
And
agree
you
with
are in the air condition. You are roaming around in Islamabad, severe thunderstorm is there, the police is standing. The police has not gone, it has done its duty despite,
And that's not an easy duty.
despite knowing that any attack can come and they can be martyred. Still the police is standing across Pakistan. So what I'm just saying is that technology, yes, the safe city in Islamabad, when we posted our new DG, mashallah, today he reported that out of around 1800 cameras, around 1600 or around 1650 are working. So when he took it over, it was around 750. So we have increased the number of working cameras.
Are they good cameras with good pixels and also? Because that was another problem I
the
remember.
technology is 2009.
Okay.
So we are looking at 2019. We have proposed to the government to do a new survey, and let's, whatever funds are available, let's do at least a change of the cameras, which can, be equivalent to the cameras which are like in London, there are more than 500,000 cameras.
Everyone
so that
is
is why
monitored.
they have been able, but still the crime is there.
Yeah, the crime.
So-
Didn't you see what happened on the London Bridge?
So I think with the technology, with better training, and with a human resource which is well paid, I think police has already done a marvelous job in Pakistan. It will do a much more improved output over the I think next 10, 15 years.
Anyway, I just have to thank you very much, sir, for once again for
Pleasure.
being here, sir, and we look up to your services and we really salute you, sir. Thank you
very
very
much,
much
sir.
what
Thank you very much.
Police of Islamabad has done so far. But always, sir, we have always high expectations. As a person, as an individual, I really would love to be a productive citizen, sir. This is exactly what I would prefer everybody else to do the same. But obviously, sir, I think perceptions are changing. Though, the concept which we had earlier in 80s, 90s, or maybe before that, is slowly it's changing, but surely it's changing. Once again, sir, thank you very much.
Thank you so much,
Pleasure
sir.
to have you, sir. And that's all we have for this. I'll see you tomorrow, inshallah. Till then, you take good care of yourself. Khuda Hafiz from our side.